Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Paris, Texas. And this movie came out in 1984, and I don't know how to pronounce the director's name very well. Wim Wenders or something? I've heard it once, but never heard it again. But I've never seen any of his movies before, and this was my first one. And I heard that this one was supposed to be good, and I enjoyed it overall. I wasn't wild about it. I don't think it's an incredible film by any means. There are things that I love about it. Like, I love the first half of this movie. I think the first half of this movie is pretty great and tells me exactly what I would want from just about any film that I would probably love. And it's kind of it is kind of consistent in terms of the things that I do like about it. But unfortunately, it does kind of fall apart for me in the second half, where it kind of just becomes a normal movie and doesn't really have much to offer me artistically, and it just becomes pretty basic after a certain point. And there are just some things that happen for almost no reason, and I just left wondering, okay, I kind of understand why you did it in the way that you did, but at the same time, I don't really feel much of an emotional impact because of the way that you did it. But going back to my positives, I do think the movie looks nice. There wasn't anything super crazy that made me think, yeah, this is a distinct style that made me feel as though this is a director's style. They left their print here. And that mostly probably has to do with the fact that I'm not familiar with this director. This is the only movie that I've seen from him, and perhaps if I see some of his other films like Perfect Days or something else, then maybe I'll be more familiar with a style and I'll be able to pick up on it a bit better. But as is, it just felt very well made. That felt like it was not doing anything too crazy. In the first half, I was loving how information was revealing itself as time went along, and all that stuff is really great. And I do like how our main character barely speaks, especially in the first 30 minutes. I thought that was very effective, and with him just communicating everything through his actions was very effective for me, and made him a memorable character. And there are plenty of parts of this movie in the first half that I can remember just physically how they're performed, and also just the way it's shot, and it just left such an impact on me. And sure, there are things like that in the second half, but not nearly as effective for me. I thought the music was good in the film. I didn't feel as though it was distracting at any point, and I did like how things wrapped up by the end of the film, despite me having some criticisms. But overall, it's a good, solid movie that I enjoyed. And but where my issues come with this movie is a couple of things. I do want to mention that when I went into this film, I was expecting a slower paced film, and I did get that out of this movie. But I do feel as though, despite it being slow, it works in plenty of parts throughout. However, I do feel as though the movie could have been under 2 hours and didn't need to be 2.5 hours. Could have been shorter by at least 30 minutes. Just didn't really justify its runtime, in my opinion. Not that it was particularly boring, but I just feel as though information could have been presented a bit faster. And once we get into the second half of this movie, that's where we get a plot, and things are being revealed, and it's kind of somewhat clear as to where things are going, and where the film is gonna eventually wind up. But at the same time, didn't really connect with me story-wise, unfortunately. I just wish that it had a little bit more to offer, and all I really got out of it was good characters that are well written and well defined, but I just wish there was more. I also didn't always buy the kid in this movie to be a kid, just by his dialogue. I just felt as though there were some lines in the film that didn't really feel like that's something a kid would say, but so maybe that would be something a kid would say back then, and I'm just not connected to that, but it just felt a little odd to me. In the first 30 minutes, I was kind of reminded a little bit of Rain Man, but I do think this is a much better movie than Rain Man. simply because it has things going on in it that I connect with. This movie is mostly a road trip movie, like two different road trip movies, and that's pretty much what this is. And it's not bad for being that, but road trip movies don't normally connect with me very well. But this one I did like, at least the first road trip, if that makes sense. The only thing they kind of found to be slightly disappointing was in the first half, it was clear that our main character didn't always sleep, and it wasn't really clear as to, like, does he sleep or does he not sleep? And he doesn't always eat. And I was thinking, okay, is this going to be something more along the lines of a David Lynch film where not everything is literal and it's just using these things to explore certain ideas? And they don't really go in that direction, which I found to be a little bit of a missed opportunity for me personally. But who knows, maybe I'm just expecting the wrong things and there are just other things that I should appreciate more in this film. But as is, I like it, but I'm just not in love with it because there are just some other things that I wish it did, and other movies have done similar things to this. And in some ways, I think this movie is better than those other films. In other ways, I think it's worse. So it's kind of a weird movie for me, in a sense. But I would recommend it. I think it's good. It's currently on HBO Max, so if you're looking to watch it, there's a way to do so, and check it out whenever you get the chance. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Paris, Texas a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Paris, Texas, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Wednesday, Season 2. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.